Chapter 9, Periodic Properties of the Elements. I really like this quote from Isaac Asimov. Beginning students of chemistry often think of the science as a mere collection of disconnected data to be memorized by brute force. Anybody feel like that? Not at all. Just look at it properly and everything hangs together and makes sense. Okay, so that, it's like, well, that sounds easy, but it's not really that easy, is it? But there are patterns and everything is related. And so if you persist in trying to understand things, you will get to a point where you see how everything works together, and then it's like amazingly beautiful. But if you don't get there, it's okay. So let's talk about the periodic table real quick here. Dmitri Mendeleev is usually given credit for it. He ordered the elements by atomic mass and saw a repeating pattern of properties which led to the periodic law. When elements are arranged in order of increasing atomic mass, certain properties recur periodically. And he was able to use these patterns to predict that there were other elements that would be discovered, and he predicted what their properties were. So here are two that he predicted. He predicted that something would be found below aluminum, which is now called gallium. And if we look at his predictions and the actual properties, we see that he was remarkably accurate, and also he predicted germanium, and again, his predictions are spot on. There are two places where the mass order didn't fit with the other properties, and so he went with other properties. One of these places is tellurium and iodine. So if we look up there, tellurium comes before iodine, and yet its molar mass is larger. And that's because, unknown to Mendeleev, the ordering property was number of protons, not the mass. It just happens to correspond most of the time. So the periodic law allows us to predict what properties different elements would have based on their position in the periodic table, but it doesn't explain why. It doesn't explain why that pattern exists in the first place. And quantum mechanics does explain that pattern. When we know why the pattern works, then we have an even better ability to predict what will happen.